Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Ali Moreno and Shaka Hislop here with me in the studio, and we're going to kick things off with the Bundesliga tonight because there is a big game coming up on Saturday. It's the Klassiker. It's Bayern Munich away to Borussia Dortmund. Neither side in the top two coming into this clash. We cannot wait to see what happens. As you can see, third and the fifth as it stands in the table tonight. A look at the odds in this one. Bayern Munich picking it up last time out in the Bundesliga. Both of these sides with wins in the Champions League this week, and we wonder if one of the sides can come out victorious in this clash. All eyes will be on it as we now welcome in Archie Rhind-Tutt. He'll be at the game for ESPN tomorrow, and also Jan Agerfjord in front of quite a dashing door today.
Yeah, dashing. Yeah. Is that what we're going with?
Well, you know, normally when you see me, I'm on some cheap hotel, but this time I brought my wife to London, and you can see it's posh.
So, posh room there for Jan. Archie, let me start with you as we look ahead to this game. We've certainly seen Bayern faltering so far this season. Obviously, the last two games, just put those aside for the moment. What we've seen so far this season is not so characteristic of what we would expect from the German champions. But is there that inevitability that we've still seen a Dortmund side failing to capitalise on Bayern's mistakes?
Yeah, I think there is, albeit I don't think in the past there's been this kind of pressure on Bayern or on the coach going into this game, because I think that they are only one result away from a crisis again. And after what happened against Leverkusen, look, Leverkusen are in a right state right now, as has been shown by the fact they had to go change their coach. And against Victoria Pilsen, fine, they did what was expected of them. But I still think that they are wobbling on the edge a little bit here. And it's a real opportunity for Dortmund not just to win, but to also turn the screw and turn the pressures onto Julian Nagelsmann.
Let's just take a look at the predictions that we've got from you guys then, because Jan, obviously, the posh hotel is going to his head as well, and he's feeling very generous. He's feeling very optimistic as well that there is a title race, and that unlike everybody else, it's going to be Dortmund who win this game, Jan.
Well, the only thing that is predictable with Dortmund is that they are unpredictable. So that's what my positive thoughts try to give them. But as Archie is saying, I think there's more of the lack of stability by Bayern. Yes, they've been good in the Champions League. Yes, they won against Leverkusen when they needed it. But it's so typical Bayern now. They talk about everything else. There's nothing to do on the pitch, and that is typical Bayern. So hopefully the Dortmund can this time take advantage of that, because it's, if you see that they had 4 games without winning, and like you were saying, Kay, Dortmund are none of the other main contenders. But no disrespect, I won't say Freiburg and Union Berlin are there, and they couldn't capitalize on that. But 81,000, 7 losses in a row against Bayern, got to turn sometimes, as they say in the casino. So I think after 7 times on red, this time it will be on black for Dortmund, and they will win this roulette against the Bayern.
Ale and Shaka have both gone for Bayern wins in this one. What makes you think that, Ale?
Well, I think it's, for me anyways, when I look at both of these teams, where I understand that both of them have taken a scenic route to get to this point, and they've had inconsistencies. If I have 2 teams that have been inconsistent over the course of this season, and I'm sort of kind of portraying and looking into the future and kind of seeing, all right, what team do I trust the most? And that's, I think, a key word when you look at both Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. Who do I trust? It is really, really difficult when you put them side by side to trust Borussia Dortmund because of all the things that Jan mentioned initially. That is a team that is unpredictable. I don't think Borussia Dortmund nor Edin Terzic really know what version of themselves is going to show up on the field. I don't think they know exactly who they are as a group. This is a team that early on in the season was struggling to score goals, but was defending very well. But it's also the same team that is capable of having meltdowns like they had against Werder Bremen, like they had against Leipzig, like they had against Köln. They have that in their game as well. So if it is about trust, I'm thinking that I trust Bayern Munich to continue to trend in the right direction and get back to the things that we expect them to do, rather than trusting Borussia Dortmund in having an outstanding game and winning the match.
I think that's the thing. When you look at these two teams, inconsistent, even by their own standards, more to the point of Dortmund in that regards. But as much as we look at that poor run of form from Bayern of a few weeks ago, after they lost to Augsburg, They've won the next two, scored 9 goals, and that's hard to dismiss. 6 different goal scorers in that 9. And then you look at Dortmund, their own inconsistency continuing. Their only 2 wins in their last 4 come against Schalke and Sevilla in the Champions League. 2 teams who are struggling in their respective domestic leagues. You look at the head-to-head between these two, and while I get the point that Jan is trying to make, that at some point something has to give, so it has to turn, I just don't think that this is a week that happens. I see it as being a narrow 1-0 only because of that inconsistency of Bayern and the fact that it's at Dortmund, that it's a derby, it'll be fiercely contested. Otherwise, I probably make it a whole lot of a wider margin.
Actually, last time we were on coverage for a Bundesliga game, you got to speak to Julian Nagelsmann about his position. Will that be under threat if they lose to Borussia Dortmund tomorrow?
I don't think it will be directly under threat, but I think that it will turn the heat up on him a few notches. I think that doing without Thomas Müller tomorrow is going to be interesting to see how he adapts, because he's been labelled by many as the extended arm of the coach, both under Hansi Flick and also under Julian Nagelsmann. And just addressing what the boys were saying there, that's one of the most intriguing things for me tomorrow, is how will Bayern cope without a real talisman in Müller, given the amount of characters and leaders that they've lost on the pitch over the last few years. I'm talking about Thiago, I'm talking about Robert Lewandowski, David Alaba. Those are key players who were really all about getting that mentality over across on the pitch. And I think that they brought with it certain expectations and certain standards. And whilst there is an abundance of quality in that prospective Bayern lineup for tomorrow, that is one question mark. And I'm not saying that Dortmund have it in abundance. The fact that a 19-year-old is their captain and is the player who has carried them for most of this season so far tells you a story of its own. But I think that is a question mark. Who is going to step up for Bayern tomorrow?
Yeah, you know what's interesting as well, Jan, is that we see this goal scoring, and Xhaka mentioned it, all these different goal scorers for Bayern, and everybody says, OK, they don't need Lewandowski. And then when things don't go their way, we hear, oh, they're missing Lewandowski. Now, the word is that they are in the transfer market for a striker in January. Is that true? Or are they OK and continue to insist that they don't need a striker like Lewandowski?
Well, let's start with the timeline. They were desperate to get Erling Haaland. They couldn't get him. They wanted, I'm not saying they were desperate to keep Lewandowski, but Lewandowski was desperate to leave Barcelona, Bayern, because what happened with trying to get Haaland in. So they were ending up having no strikers. And then Julian Nagelsmann, and that kind of hunted him at the moment, because he said, it doesn't matter that we don't have a number 9, because we will be more flexible without the number 9, which shows that that's not so true, because what you do miss, maybe you don't miss the 40 goals of Lewandowski, but you missed the 1-0. You missed the decisive goal that Robert Lewandowski always did to make the rhythm of the opposition differently. And we've seen that through the bad period. So I think they are open to get to number 9 in, but the market in the winter is very difficult. Who should come in? Dortmund saw that when Sebastian Haller got his cancer diagnosis. That was hard to get one in. They got in Modeste. He's been a disappointment. So now Bayern keep on dreaming about Harry Kane. And I just ask myself, why should the captain of England, Harry Kane, who will probably beat Alan Shearer's record for most Premier League goals, why should he go to Bayern? So this is for me a dream for Bayern, getting too much confidence after getting Mané from Liverpool.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.